Hello everyone, well in the video today we're going to be talking about mental illness and competitive gaming, in our case Flesh and Blood competitive card gaming. And before we get into that, I want to say a big thank you to FabFoundry and February for making this video possible. They are sponsoring the channel, and because of that I can now do these kind of videos. It's not as typical as my usual data videos, and now I'm going more into the psychological side of things. I do have a biochemistry degree. I'm a biotechnological and biochemical engineer. I did take a major in psychology myself. I'm not a professional, I'm just reading these articles here and there, in this case some abstracts here and there, so it's far from being a professional, so keep that in mind. But I do want to share some things that I personally believe in, that I think all of you can maybe benefit from as well, and that is in regards to competitive gaming in general. So here's the thing, on Twitter and social media as well, on my Discord and people that I'm coaching, it seems that there's a bit of unrest in the Flesh and Blood community, mainly because people are really hyper focused on the competitive side of things. That's kind of because, well, Flesh and Blood doesn't really have a true casual format, and because of that everyone is kind of pigeonholed into the competitive side of things in general. However, I think people are so focused on the competitive side of things that it is kind of making their self-worth suffer a bit. Like, I see posts on Twitter a lot that I went to this event, I didn't do as how I wanted, or I was up against this particular hero, I don't know how to play against that because I lost the event, and all kinds of posts about people feeling bad. And I think one of the things that is very important to keep in mind is that once you are in the competitive side of things, there's a very dark side to competitive gaming that not a lot of people talk about, but that is very real. So for the most part, video gaming, card gaming, all kinds of gaming, board gaming, it is good for you. When you start out, it helps you to relieve your anxiety, you have less depression, less stress, and it helps you to alleviate a low mood, which is something you typically see in things like articles like these, where they go over, like they did a big study, like 13 studies in fact, where they went over the effects of casual video gaming on people's mental well-being, and what they found is that it's actually maybe a very viable thing to even treat these mental illnesses to make people feel better. So if something that in general helps to relieve anxiety, depression, stress, and low mood, and how come when it comes to competitive side of things it's the complete opposite? Well, it's because there's a very dark side to competition, and this is mainly because like in this study, for example, they talk about the striving to avoid inferiority. And when we go into this is also just an abstract, but they talk about that in many cases, inferiority, fears of missing out, being overlooked, and active rejection, attachment, social rank, all these kind of things have a very huge factor weighing in competitive gaming in general. And we see this online a lot. Like, even I, as a full-time content creator and coach, I get this a lot, that sometimes people leave these rather nasty comments like, yeah, how can you coach people if you don't even top 8 in your nationals? For example, it's just a very basic example. It's very easy for people to get very stuck up in numbers and performance and getting the best deck and getting the best cards and having the best hero and stuff like that, that sometimes we seem to be losing track of what is important to us. In my case, the community building aspect is very important to me. It's why I started this channel with Flesh and Blood. I started covering Flesh and Blood way before I got competitive. If you watch back my old videos from way back in the day, you can see I was a utter noob at the game. I still make misplays, but I'm kind of decent now. But because you kind of want to get this acceptance from other people, you want them to acknowledge you as a player, you want to do well at these events, and in my case, because my livelihood kind of depends on it a little bit, that I need to get some good placements here and there so that I can afford to buy food, but because of that, it's very easy to get stuck up in the numbers and the statistics and the data, especially especially for a person like me that is constantly busy with that kind of stuff. However, the past few weeks I have been practicing Ultim, I have been practicing Dromai, Viserai and Briar as well, and at some point when I was leaving up my Ultim deck to go to the Belgian Nationals, something in me just didn't feel right. Like I didn't feel like going to the Nationals. I kind of felt like, I have to go to the Nationals. I need to play Ultim. I don't want to play Ultim, but I need to, because I need to have the top 8. I need to get a PTI and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, what am I doing to myself? I'm having so much stress. I'm burned out. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. And not the coaching, by the way. I love the coaching and stuff like that, but just to go to an event and playing a deck that I don't enjoy, it wasn't making me happy. And I was thinking to myself, like, why am I feeling so horrible about this? And the thing is, it's all about being too competitive and being too focused on almost unachievable results, or unlikely to achieve results, I should say. And because of that, you end up pushing yourself into anxiety, depression, stress, and all these kind of things, into burnouts. And I even read some study that there's people that can do even nastier stuff like that, things like substance abuse and stuff like that, which is something very serious, and nobody should be doing that over a game. Let's make that clear. But I realized I wasn't enjoying myself, so what did I do? I sleeved up my Fry deck, I made some changes, I put in the Kodachis. Like everyone knows from my previous 5 videos that I feel the Kodachis are inferior to the Emberblade, but people were doing well with it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna play Fry. All my data showed me that Fry was a very bad choice. All my games at the Nationals also showed me that Fire was a very bad choice. However, then I went to the last chance qualifier the next day and I made 4th place, because guess what? I'm playing a deck that I know well, a deck that I have passion for, and a deck that I enjoy. I wasn't having depression, I wasn't anxious, I wasn't having stress, I wasn't having any of that, because I was just having fun at a big stakes event. Big stakes, is that how you say it? Oh, whatever, like I was having fun at a big event with a deck that I personally love, that really speaks to me personally, that I enjoy playing, and winning didn't matter to me anymore. Like, it was all about the social experiment, not social experiment, the social experience. My, speaking English can be difficult at times. It was all about the social experience, talking with my opponents, having fun, and I enjoyed it. I really had a good time in both the Nationals and the Last Chance qualifier, and I can highly recommend to anyone out there that is kind of losing the passion for Flesh and Blood a little bit because of all this hyper competitive stuff going on, is to just relax a bit and to try to play a deck that you actually enjoy. Maybe try building something your own. Like, I built lots of decks. It's really, like, you would be surprised how many games you can win by bringing something completely out of the normal to an event. Like, the other day I played something like Pummel Katsu, for example. Nobody expects Katsu to be running pummels, and it completely catches people off guard because, for one, they don't overblock and they don't block enough. They lose a card in the hand, stuff like that. So be creative, like really work with the cards that we have, make weird decks, and don't care too much about the winning, because if you do, you're likely going to burn yourself out in the long run, and it's just not worth it. Like, having these mental illnesses is really not worth, probably not worth all the money in the world that you can even win at these events. Just go there to have fun, go there to have a good time, and don't burden yourself with all these things, because it's just a downward slope from there, and you're just gonna get in such a weird mental space that you're just not having fun with the game anymore. And for the majority of you that are watching this video, you are probably doing this game as a hobby, right? Like, in my case, I'm doing this full time as my job, so and in my case, it's extra important to make sure that I don't start hating the thing that I base my whole career around. But even for people like you that are doing this as a hobby, keep the hobby fun. Play decks that you enjoy. Don't get off this path of just caring about winning and prizes and stuff like that, because when it boils down to it, we're all just creating memories here, and if you don't make the memories memorable by playing something that you don't enjoy anyways, then I can tell you at the end of the day, you're not gonna remember those events well. You're not even gonna remember the games all that much because you were navigating something that you don't enjoy in the first place. I see that in myself. Like, I won some events, armories and skirmishes with things like All Team, Kano, stuff like that. Decks that I normally don't really enjoy playing, and I don't really remember the games at all, to be honest. I have some very vague memories of how I won, but on the other hand, the games that, like the skirmish that I won with decks like Ira, I remember almost every single victory. I win the victories that I've had with, I remember the victories I've had with things like Benji, things like Katsu, stuff like that. Those are really, they are very deeply ingrained into my memory because I was having a good time, I was playing the deck I loved, and it makes the whole experience of time also different, because that's a topic for a future video, by the way. I briefly touch on this in the FAB Foundry article, but like, our experience of time is highly dependent on the experiences we create for ourselves. So if we don't make memorable experiences, it feels like time just flies by, and if time just flies by, you're pretty much just wasting your life away. Obviously, there are going to be people here that do want to be involved in the competitive scene exclusively, that are going to be playing those best decks all the time. I know lots of my viewers, they care a lot about winning, they care a lot about running the best decks. Well, to people like yourself that do want to go down that rabbit hole of competitive stuff, there is a solution here, and that is in terms of, this is from Sports, where they talk about that team sport athletes suffer less from anxiety and depression than individual sport athletes. I think Flesh and Blood in general is more of an individual sport kind of thing. It's not really a sport, I guess. It depends how you want to define it. It's a card game. It is competitive, but can we call it a sport? I'm not sure. But what they are talking about in this particular article is that if you are doing a sport, you get very goal-oriented. There we see, like, people get goal-oriented reasons, associated benefits of participation, including motives such as obtaining scholarships or controlling weight. Like in our case, it's probably more like getting PTIs and getting expensive cards or cash prizes. It becomes very easy to get extremely lonely, and because, well, you're practicing your deck and you cannot share your secret decks with other people and stuff like that, and you end up in this really weird mental mind space that is just not healthy for you. But what they found in this study is that people that participate in team sports, and I do believe that they mostly focused on younger people. I'm not sure if it's kids or younger, but the conclusion is, yeah, say among young athletes, anxiety and depression are more common in those who play individual sports than those who play team sports. But I think this kind of also applies to us as adults as well. If you are involved in a team, a lot of that burden of having to perform well and what kind of goals you set, they kind of shift a bit towards the team dynamic, if you know what I mean. And even if you yourself don't perform that well, one of your teammates might be doing very great, and if you all suffer a big loss, it just motivates you as a group to maybe to practice a bit harder next time and then try again, which creates this very healthy competition and very healthy gameplay mechanism where you work together with other people to reach a goal together. And I think doing it as a team is a very good way to try and mitigate the dark side of competitive gaming in general. So if you want to get involved in competitive gaming, do consider creating or joining a Flesh and Blood team, because it may help you with your mental mind space quite a bit. Maybe because it's more social. I don't know the full reason behind it. I didn't read the full article, but I did see from the conclusion that it seems that team sport players, they seem to be suffering from these kind of things less. So yeah, that's pretty much all from me for today. I hope this video was useful to you. It's a bit of a simple video, but if given more funds and more time in the future, I might actually do something like this with some proper editing if you would like to see it. I will see how this video does. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know, have you suffered from anxiety, depression, or all these kind of things while playing Flesh and Blood yourself? And if you have, let me know if with this video you have a different view at these things, to maybe establish some new goals. Instead of aiming for that top 8, maybe aim to win half your games. Instead of, I would say, like, instead of focusing too much about winning everything, maybe you can focus on building the best, I don't know, the best Azalea deck. Doesn't mean that it has the highest win rate of all the decks, but you have the best Azalea deck. Like some achievable goals that you can work your way towards. I think it's healthier overall, and I think for many people out there, it's probably better than tying your whole self-worth and self-validation to your performance in the game, because that's just wrong. Don't do that. Your performance in the game says nothing about you as a person. Thank you for watching. I will see you all very, very soon with the next video. Probably gonna be another data video or a deck tag or something like that. But if there's enough interest, I might look up some interesting articles to present to all of you in the future. So again, leave a comment, leave a like, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.